Hello and welcome to World News here on TVP World. It's 12 o'clock in Warsaw. The President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, is in Warsaw consulting EU leaders ahead of the Extraordinary Council Summit meeting that's scheduled for the 6th of March. Now we're now going to our reporter Ovidiusz Nicea. Ovidiusz, hello. So what are the talks between Tusk and Costa focused on?
Well, the talks are focused on boosting Europe's defense. European leaders want to show more unity, especially in the face of all the messages coming from the White House. They want to show European resolve not only to continue supporting Ukraine, but also to boost European defense capabilities. And pertaining to this, we had a couple of strong declarations today. The Polish Prime Minister has thanked Antonio Costa, the President of the European Council, for his work so far. Here, the President of the European Council has presented some of his ideas, and now the consultations are underway for the meeting. You, Diana, have mentioned a special meeting of the European Council regarding support for Ukraine, but also strengthening of European defense. Let's take a listen to Prime Minister Donald Tusk from that meeting with President of the European Council, Antonio Costa.
We need more mobilization across Europe for both EU member states and Europe as a whole. When it comes to boosting security and defense spending, it will become a reality soon enough. President Costa said that the Council is on the right track and is preparing a package set to be unveiled on March 6, should a decision be made by then. Before that, however, we will meet our British colleagues and a group of EU leaders in London to discuss security matters. I would also like to thank the President of the European Council for supporting our idea that protecting the EU's eastern border should be our common European goal.
Here in Warsaw, the President of the European Council said that the brainstorming is over. Now it's time to act to strengthen Europe's defense. Here also, Antonio Costa has declared that the European Union, it's European Union's priority to strengthen eastern flank of the European Union. He has said that he talked with Prime Minister Tusk about a series of proposals to boost European defense capabilities, but more about that will be presented on March 6th. Now let's take a listen to Antonio Costa.
But now it's time to act, it's time to take decisions, it's time to deliver. And the European Commission is coming with a package of proposals to strengthen the defense capabilities in Europe. And that's why we are organizing next week, the 6th of March, a special European Council to discuss, first of all, how to strengthen our defense capabilities. And I start here with Prime Minister Donald Tusk.
Inside the presidential palace in Warsaw there, where the presidents of Poland and Latvia are due to sit down for talks. Do we have any details on what those talks are going to entail?
Where the agenda is very similar to the meeting of Prime Minister with Antonio Costa. Here, just like Antonio Costa, Edgars Rinkēvičs, the President of Latvia, is returning from Kyiv. So he will be able to give an update to the Polish President about the meetings held in Ukraine. It was not just a bilateral meeting with the President of Ukraine, but also many European leaders, many world leaders were in Ukraine for that third anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion. There was a Baltic-Nordic meeting with Ukraine, so I'm sure Edgars Rinkēvičs, the President of Latvia, has a lot of new information to present to his Polish counterpart. Latvia and Poland are two countries which are spending among the biggest spenders for defense in the European Union, but also in NATO. Poland is spending 5% of its GDP already this year. Latvia has agreed recently to spend 4% of its GDP on defense this year, and next year to expand it to 5% of GDP. So likely these talks are about European defense and about the war in Ukraine and the potential peace talks there. Back to you, Diana.
Thanks so much, Ovidus Nicea, coming to us live from the presidential palace in Warsaw. During an official visit to the White House, French President Emmanuel Macron interjected to correct Donald Trump regarding the topic of loans. Now, the U.S. president has claimed that all European assistance was provided as loans, with frozen Russian assets serving as collateral.
I mean, this war costed all of us a lot of money. And this is the responsibility of Russia, because the aggressor is Russia.
Should the US be compensated?
So at the end of the day, this frozen asset should be part of the negotiation. All in all.
Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total efforts. And it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money, to be clear.
Yeah.
We have 230 billion frozen assets in Europe, Russian assets, but this is not as a collateral of a loan, because this is not our belonging. So they are frozen. If at the end of the day, in the negotiation we will have with Russia, they're ready to give it to us, super. It will be loan at the end of the day, and Russia will have paid for that.
If you
This is my
believe
wish.
that,
And the remarks delivered at that meeting between Trump and Macron are drawing a variety of responses from the Ukrainian public. Our correspondent Oz Chatterjee is in Kyiv and has the details.
Yet another morning after the night before for Ukrainians to wake up to more concerning comments made by US President Donald Trump in his joint press conference with the French President Emmanuel Macron. Further reporting from the US press has also suggested that there is advancement on this US mineral deal that might be more reassuring for Ukraine, as the document supposedly contains the line that the US is committed to a free, sovereign and secure Ukraine. So that will be reassuring in a way that the concerning statements coming out of Donald Trump about Zelenskyy refusing to call Putin a dictator last night, these are going to be causing some great concern to Ukrainians. And this deal, which Zelenskyy has refused to sign so far, is not necessarily enough to ease those concerns, or at least the language included in this deal, which is still subject to change, is not enough to ease those concerns. Furthermore, the United Nations last night, the US voted with Russia against the motion condemning Russian aggression on Ukraine. So again, this is not just causing concern in Kyiv, it's going to be causing great concern across Europe as European allies scramble to find a path through this chaos coming from the United States, to try and find agreement, mutual ground that they can cooperate on to keep this administration focused on supporting Ukraine. But the difficulties for them are mounting as Donald Trump keeps pivoting the United States towards a Russia-friendly position. Certainly, the greatest winner out of all of this is going to be Vladimir Putin, who's going to be watching all of this with some satisfaction. Oz Chatterjee reporting from Kyiv for TVP World.
On Monday night, while addressing the UN Security Council, Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski stated that in order to achieve peace in Ukraine, Russia must withdraw its forces from Ukrainian territory. On top of that, Poland's chief diplomat reaffirmed European support for a just and lasting peace in Ukraine.
The right way forward remains. Russia should immediately, completely, and unconditionally withdraw all its forces from Ukraine's territory. We as Europeans will continue to stand side by side with Ukraine to achieve a just and lasting peace. Peace through strength, the only kind Kremlin respects. Finally, I'd like to dedicate to this Council a maxim authored by my predecessor as Foreign Minister of Poland, a survivor of Auschwitz and of Stalinist prisons, Professor Władysław Bartoszewski. When you are in doubt how to behave, behave with decency. Thank you. Slava Ukraini.
2 people were killed and 6 more wounded after an overnight Russian strike on the Sumy region of Ukraine. Local authorities reported at least 169 explosions, prompting neighboring countries, including Poland, to scramble their fighter jets in response. Now, Moscow also launched an attack on Kyiv, wounding 1 person. In the strikes, the Russian army used drones, mortars, and heavy artillery. In Sumy, 2 drones killed 1 individual and damaged 2 apartment buildings. Meanwhile, the town of Myropilya was attacked with drones and guided aerial bombs, wounding 3 civilians and damaging 6 houses. Moscow also targeted the Ukrainian capital, wounding a woman and partially destroying a house along with neighboring buildings. Responding to the overnight strikes, Warsaw scrambled its jets and placed its air defense systems on high alert. And that's all for this edition of World News on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. Thanks for watching, and do stay tuned for more news and features.